Hello everyone, this is the last week of our last instructional technology class, the final in the series, AHE 525. So this term I worked on a collaborative group project with Yael and Kayla, and I am going to walk you through just kind of what that process looked like. This term was only 8 weeks long, so within that 8 weeks we were able to collaborate. We built a mind map. We had 3 rough drafts, and now we finally have a finished product. So let's get started. Um, the first week, we built a mind map with some general ideas of what we wanted to write about. So here you can see we have accessibility, affordability, and cost. These were our general ideas for topics, and then the idea was to talk about accessibility, affordability, and cost within education. So a language, K through 12 classes, and professional development. Each of us had our own selected topic of interest. So my project, or my portion of the project, focused on professional development. So, as you can see, it was pretty broad and generic here. We also worked together to build roles for each other, and so our roles kind of worked out really well, where each of us had a content that we were experts in as far as researching. And then we had some task roles about like what we were actually doing, and then maintenance roles, which were more of the support roles within that. Um, so within that, we had a lead for each and then 2 supports. So really, we were all working together on the same things, but it was just whether or not somebody was spearheading that side of the project. So this was all created in a Google Doc, and so each of our team members was able to jump in and either provide comments or add extra stuff. We also added some kind of preliminary research up here, um, which seems like a lot, but actually once you see our final resource page or pages, you can see that is really not. So our first ideas were put together in our first rough draft. We had kind of a generic outline, and then each of us kind of split the realms that we were looking at and color coded them so that we could tell what was what. And so right now you can see they're all kind of split up, but it's basically like a mini paper with everything. So topic, intro, body for each of our realms. So I was light blue, and then um, Kayla was green, and Yael was yellow. We also had a spot to build an introduction. We made sure that we had a spot for the abstract, and then at the bottom, discussion and conclusions. So in our second rough draft, we kind of started putting stuff together. You'll see it's crossed out because we moved it into the third draft, but it's looking more like a paper. Couple of tables, which was way cool. Different colored font depending on who was doing what. Um, and still pretty much a rough draft here. We couldn't come up with a name, and so we just kind of started spitballing things up here. So we need the internet, the affordability of online learning. Anyways, down to the third and final rough draft. This draft, you can see we've compiled everything, and based on feedback from our peers in the cohort, we were able to build something that looks more like a paper. You can see here it says uh, 18 pages total. It's because it's all single spaced. So when we get out to the final draft, which we posted today, everything's double spaced, which is always so gratifying when you can finally double space things. So our final document is actually 28 pages long. We made sure that it was all in APA format so that it's ready to go to the publisher. We each have our own sections. And let's scroll all the way down here, and you can see those resources I was talking about, just so you can get an appreciation for what we were doing. Yeah, so plenty of resources. They just keep going forever. Um, so that was our final project. You can find it on my portfolio if you hover over home. You can either go to, well, in the home screen right here, or you can jump over to class projects, which highlights a couple of our projects throughout the series. At the very bottom is the button as well. And so this is our final AHE project. I kind of introduce it up here, and then further down is our actual Google Doc that I have embedded. So I was so excited when I was finally done with this that I decided that some wacky, crazy colors kind of helped demonstrate my mood towards the end of the project. Um, so I guess I can talk a little bit about just this year's accomplishments in general. Um, this is the kind of end of our first full year in graduate school. It has been a pretty long journey full of learning. And I was able to step out of my comfort zone. I was able to express some creativity. I can show you some of the stuff that I worked on earlier this year. Uh, so we talked about active learning and kind of just the whole encompassing engaging the learners, utilizing our own creativity as well as pulling creativity out of our students, and then just the design process itself. So this page kind of shows all of those kind of different pieces as I learned them throughout the term. We also built sample courses. So the sample course that I built was first built into Wix, and then I actually was able to integrate it into Canvas, which I guess I can't pull up right now. Um, but anyways, that was a huge learning for me and helped me navigate Canvas a little bit better, which is awesome because we use that as students, but then it also gave me an appreciation for what our professors do when they actually build content within Canvas. So I can pull up these class projects. So our very first, one of our very first projects was talking about our ideas behind instructional technology or technology in general and what we can do with it. So I thought that that was still relevant, and so I've left it here as kind of a reflective piece for myself. Um, and then here, let's see if I can pull this one up. This is our original collaborative document from fall term. So this is what I think we all called a beautiful mess. This was all 12 of us, 13 of us, working together to construct this document, which is impressive and definitely a scaffolding learning event for our final project. So I made sure to add this at the very end with our thanks to everybody who collaborated on this project. Um, so let's see, final thoughts. If you want some really mushy final thought stuff, you can look in my reflections. I'm definitely better with text communication than I am with speaking, so I will just let you check that out. Kind of deep, a little bit, definitely kind of an emotional uh, bit of text here, but a very reflective assignment for me, this final blog post. Um, so within it, I think one of the most important things for me is talking about how this instructional technologies class, while it was, I mean, at surface level, could just be talking about instructional technology, I was really able to take what I was learning from our other classes at the time and embed it into my instructional technology to make for a really deep learning. Um, and the final bit, I will let my cohort members read. I'm not going to read it out loud, but I definitely recommend that you guys read this. I hope that you also feel the same way. And that is pretty much it. So thank you so much for following this project. It's definitely been a good ride. I'm very excited to see what next term holds, and I will see you all in a month. Thanks.